All right, here we go. So today I'm joined by my colleague Ramon Lopez. So I'm a worldwide go-to-market specialist with the QuickSight and Amazon Q in QuickSight team. And then Ramon is a principal solutions architect, also on the QuickSight and Q team. And you'll also be joined by Felix as well as Zach from our customer Open Door. So we have 60 minutes together. We structured the agenda into two sections. For the first 30 minutes, we will be sharing with you an overview of Amazon QuickSight and why it has become some of our customers' most favorite as well as preferred platforms for democratizing insights at scale. And specifically, we'll dive deeper into the two experiences within QuickSight, which is first the dashboarding experience, and then also talk about why the Pixel Perfect reporting add-on alongside with those dashboards in a unified platform how it can benefit your business. And then for the second half of the session, our customer Open Door will take the stage and share their journey with QuickSight, why QuickSight, and what they have been able to accomplish. So before we dive in, just so we can get you a sense of your familiarity with QuickSight, can I have a quick show of hands if you are currently using QuickSight? Okay, so about 50%, 40-50%. What about Pixel Perfect reporting? Okay, less so that's why you're here. What about Amazon Q in QuickSight, the new Generative BI AI capabilities? Okay, also about 5% of the room. So we'll talk about all of that today and how all of these capabilities will work together. And then at the end, we'll make sure to close with some resources so that you can explore more, find out more information, and key takeaways as well. All right. So Amazon QuickSight is designed to be a unified business intelligence service that delivers a variety of BI formats. Our goal is really to enable BI for our customers' organization, for all the users that need them in the format that they prefer in one single modern solution. And that includes modern dashboards, Pixel Perfect reporting, embedded analytics, as well as augmented analytics such as predictive analysis, machine learning, etc. And QuickSight was born in the cloud and built on serverless architecture that includes auto-scaling based on your user demands. So what that means is, it doesn't matter if it's an early Monday morning rush when everybody's trying to get into their data or month-end reporting, your users can enjoy high and consistent performance. Right? Gone are the days where they might need to click refresh, go get a coffee, and come back and see this process. QuickSight will provide very fast results for you. And we also offer cost optimization opportunities with consumption-based pricing models, so you can lower costs by paying for what you need. Also provides flexibility if you're not exactly sure how many use cases you're going to onboard, how many users. You can onboard them as the interest comes up, and then QuickSight will be able to scale up the performance and the pricing for you as well. And digging a little bit more into this unified BI concept, the left hand here, you see the legacy setup. It might feel a little bit familiar, right? We see a lot of organizations as use cases come up for BI or different data formats, they end up adopting different tools and one per specific use case or consumption format. And that can cause quite a lot of complexity and multiple sources of truth, where you may have silos in environment and data. And in terms of administration, can also pose some challenges where you might require specialized training and staff and resourcing internally just to keep the lights on and make sure you have the right people to handle the requests. As for the end user experience, it also means different user interfaces, right? Authors may need to go to different places, learn different skill sets in each one in order to build the insights. And end users may need to go to different places, remember their login information, and then perhaps get different results because the data within each platform may be different. So all of this may result in high-level complexity as well as total cost of ownership. And with QuickSight, our product vision is really to alleviate all of that by having all of these different capabilities within the cloud. And we also added generative BI capabilities earlier this year so that you can have a BI service at hyperscale that you can really roll out to all of your users, no matter what consumption format they prefer. And it is really easy to get started with no additional or technical training required. They can enjoy the same UI, seamlessly navigate from one experience to the other. You can build in the same interface as well as consume in the same interface. And finally, because QuickSight is serverless and fully managed by AWS, that means no infrastructure management as you scale, no capacity planning. You enjoy upgrades, the new features are rolled out every couple weeks as they become available. And you're able to lower costs by paying for what you need as well. So diving specifically into the dashboarding experience now. So QuickSight offers a modern interactive dashboarding experience that you might come to expect. Authors are able to leverage a library of visualizations as well as interactivity, so they can quickly design insights and create a very engaging experience for their end users, right? So with the goal of driving adoption and getting them the information they need. The navigation is blazing fast, is accessible on any device. And insight sharing is also very simple with a one-step publishing for secure sharing to the users that you have defined with data security and able to make sure users are seeing what they should be and need. And the Pixel Perfect reporting in the cloud was actually announced 2 years ago at reInvent 2022. And it is an additional offering side by side with the dashboarding experience that already existed. And Pixel reporting is different from your standard reports of the dashboards in that it is highly formatted, printable reports as can paginate up to hundreds of pages, etc. And typically serves use cases that require very specific design and theme and layout, so that when they're printed, it comes out in a very predictable format for consumption. So the QuickSight Pixel Perfect reporting offers the same visuals and images that the interactive dashboard offers, right? So it's very familiar. And in terms of scheduled delivery, you can create custom schedules via email in the format of PDF or CSV exports of the tables or pivot tables if you're choosing. And additionally, it also offers point-in-time reporting with auto-archival up to 1 year. And what that means is, you can perform historical analysis. If I were a business user, I might pull a report today and think I want to compare that with information from this report from 6 months ago. I'm able to log into my QuickSight and get that report from 6 months ago and perform that comparison. And the unified authoring and consumption experience in your QuickSight console, the dashboarding and reporting are literally side by side. You have the option to create dashboard or reporting, and you can also have them both. So that means for both the authors and the readers, you can have the same data ingestion that goes in the same governed data sets that feed into both the dashboard and the report, so that you really have that single source of truth with very consistent results that may come in through either format. The readers don't have to choose between which one, right? Currently, in a lot of the ways, they might have to choose one format or another. But with QuickSight, they might be able to leverage a workflow where they get a report, they're on their morning commute looking at the PDF, they find interesting insight, and they say, I wonder what's driving, what are the top drivers behind this trend. And they're able to go into interactive dashboard based on the same data set and be able to drill down and find out the additional information. And like the rest of QuickSight, the Pixel reporting offer is also serverless and auto scales. So again, that means no capacity planning, no infrastructure management, no upgrades required. And it's really pay-per usage, again, with consumption-based pricing offering flexibility. And a use case that we're seeing emerging is also the ability to embed the Pixel Perfect reporting alongside or in addition to the dashboarding within custom applications. Seeing customers embedding it in their internal portal, so that's a seamless experience for their internal users, or as part of their product offering to increase the product value for their external customers. So you can manage that programmatically via API to embed the reporting within applications. And now Amazon Q in QuickSight. I mentioned a little bit. It was launched as of May of this year, and is a generative AI assistant for business intelligence, for what we may refer to as generative BI. So the vision for Q is really to layer it on top of all of those consumption formats we've already mentioned, and further accelerate the path to creating insights as well as getting deeper insights. So Ramon will dive into this a little bit deeper, but quickly go over their authoring capabilities with AI powering via natural language to perform key tasks that authors perform every day. And we've seen customers that adopt Q reducing the time it takes to build a dashboard, refine a dashboard from hours down to minutes. So really greatly gaining productivity and efficiency. And for readers, it's really about reducing their dependency on their data teams, right? And having to wait for answers for their requests. So with Q, they are able to get on-demand AI-powered summaries of their data, as well as Q&A, right? Questions on their data on demand, so that they can really dice the data in additional ways that's not already present on the dashboard. And the data storytelling takes it even one step further. Right? Finding the insight is just the first step, but it's really what you do with it afterwards that really matters. So data storing enables someone to take the findings, put it in a highly formatted, easy to consume story, and then add visuals to support their findings, as well as make recommendations, and then easily share within QuickSight with the key stakeholders for that next level collaboration and action. And Amazon Q and QuickSight can enable all of these experiences, especially the authoring for both dashboard building as well as report building capabilities. So in summary, what do all these cool things mean in terms of the actual outcome for our customers? TechTarget's Enterprise Strategy Group, which is their research group, actually conducted a study on the economic benefits of migrating to QuickSight. They surveyed customers that migrated to QuickSight over the last several years, and found that on average, they were able to realize 74% total cost of ownership lowered over a span of 3 years post-migration. And actually, the more interesting data point to me here is actually the drastic increase in BI usage, right? They're seeing up to 300% more BI adoption, which means their organization is able to maximize the value out of their data more than ever before. So now, over to you, Ramon.
Great. Thank you, Jess. Everyone hear me okay? Excellent. So good morning. Thank you all for joining us at this first day of reInvent 2024. It's my 5th time here. And it's the busiest I've been and the most exciting of all the reInvents I've ever attended. I'm going to be talking about the dashboarding experience. I'm going to be giving a demo, calling out some features and some capabilities in QuickSight. And the first thing I'll start talking about is the fact that we've been really busy for the last 7+ years building, innovating, and delivering on this QuickSight application. This all starts with a focus on being a cloud-native application. We're talking about auto-scaling and hyperscale. Then we focus on analytics, building analytics features, customer-driven, to solve all their analytics needs. And the last few years, focus has been on generative BI, leveraging artificial intelligence to power everyday functions like Jess was talking about a few seconds ago. First, we're going to talk about trust for a minute. I'm a surfer. I like to surf. I surf as often as I can. I travel the world to catch waves whenever I can. That means that I have a bunch of boards at home in my garage. We call that a quiver of boards. But the reality is, the fact of the matter is that there's one board that I use probably 95% of the time. And this board, I use it all often because it's very performant. It's very durable. It travels well with me. And it also handles a variety of waves, big waves, small waves, so I can take it and I can trust it, I can have a good experience with it. I know that all of you have a quiver of BI tools at your disposal every day that you're working with. So the question is, how do we build trust with authors, with dashboard builders? Well, we do it by providing a platform that is going to be modern, responsive, web-based, and just simple and easy to use and leverage. full of AI features. The platform is going to be intelligent. It's going to help you do things faster, to be more efficient, and to achieve your insights task quickly. And finally, it's full of functionality, whether it's visualizations, whether it's analytical functions, whether it's interactivity, pixel perfect. You get all these different capabilities in this unified experience that lets you achieve your goals. We're continuing to innovate, focus on delivering for our customers. One thing that was recently launched, it's the ability to import visualizations. So as a dashboard author, maybe there's a template dashboard out there that has a bunch of visuals that I commonly want to use, or maybe there's this other dashboard I just know I want to pull something from. I'm now able to click on import dashboards. I can search for the visual that I want to import, and then I can just bring it in. It'll bring with it its dependencies. Next, just mentioned it earlier, you'll see it in a little bit, but AI-powered dashboarding. So we're talking about building visualizations. We're talking about building formulas, complex calculations in our natural syntax. We're talking about being able to refine, tweak, modify visualizations, all with natural language text directly through the QuickSight interface. And finally, this is probably one of the more exciting launches that's happened in the last month. We released a new visual type that's leveraging the HighCharts core library. And ultimately, what it lets us do is add over 100 new visualizations into QuickSight with all of their configuration possibilities available to you as a dashboard author. And we'll see this in a little bit in a demo. So now I'm going to walk through a demo. You're going to see a lot of kind of new features. We're going to build out an interactive sheet. So bear with me. So first, we're going to log in through Identity Center. This is going to provide a single sign-on access into QuickSight in a secure way. Now we're in the QuickSight application. We're going to go to our folder where we have our data. We find the data that we're working with. I'm building here on top of the cost and usage reporting, and we're going to do a cost dashboards on my BI platform. We're going to choose to build an interactive sheet. Here I want you to notice the interface. Note that there's brand customization in place that was recently released that we can color and kind of theme. Not only we've been always been able to do themes, but now we can do the whole interface. We have a new author experience, so the toolbar across the top, the search, the multi-panes, all the different shortcut buttons across the top. That's all new and redesigned based on author feedback. And the last thing I'll show here is a very simple thing where now I'm able to upload an image into a dashboard directly through the UI, kind of simplifying the design experience. This part, I'm just going to build some things. We're leveraging generative AI capabilities, natural language generation, natural language prompting to specify formulas. In this case, I'm doing string manipulations. I'm creating a day of the week of the year, and I'm going to use these calculated fields in another visual. Note how it just creates the syntax for me, just simplifying life. Now I'm going to build a visualization. This is a heat map. I'm using those same fields that I just created 2 seconds ago. There it is. That's the visual that I want. Fantastic. Let's add it to the analysis. We'll keep going. I want an area line chart. So not only does it give me what I want, but it also gives me an option to modify it, to tweak it. So let's say I make it a stack chart. And then, there's some insights here too. So I'm already learning from the data. I haven't even finished building the dashboard. I'll add that. We're going to add one more. We're adding a table visualization, picking a bunch of columns. This is going to leverage the new hierarchy layout that we have in pivot tables, and I'll add that as well. Note how it gives me some recommendations of other things that I might want to be creating in visuals. Here we're editing, conditional formatting, highlighting colors, highlighting numbers that maybe are over a certain threshold that we define to kind of make those numbers pop. Font customization. This is recently released on pivots and tables. I can change my font sizing, font styling, all those different configurations are now available for headers, for cells, for columns. Awesome. So continued building this dashboard. I added some insights. We see a bullet chart. We don't have a native bullet chart in QuickSight. So this is an example of that HighCharts library, adding value already. I'm able to configure my bullet chart. You'll see the JSON where all that configuration is done. Let's say you need to change a color on the line in the middle. You just make the change right in the JSON config with the hex code, the color code, and you're good to go. You want to learn how to build these HighCharts visuals yourself? Go to Demo Central. You access Demo Central from our community, In Demo Central, you're going to find this dashboard. It's a dashboard embedded in our website that is free to access with examples, training, and knowledge so that you can start building stuff quickly. We're going to keep going here. We're adding a new geospatial chart called a layered map. With this chart type, I'm able to take a custom GeoJSON file that I have from my local machine, upload it to QuickSight. You'll see here it's kind of a strange GeoJSON, but I'm drawing stars over the AWS regions in the globe. I'm able to map the properties of the file to the data in QuickSight. In my data set, I'm able to add a metric that shows up in my tooltip, and it handles the styling, the fill color, and the gradient that'll be highlighting high versus low on the chart itself. So now we have GeoJSON, custom GeoJSON map supported, which is great. We're going to keep going. We're going to see the import of visualization. So here I'm searching for that one chart that's in that dashboard that I don't have, and I want to recreate it, find it, select it, bring it into QuickSight, and we're good to go. It brings in any calculated fields, any data sets that it depends on, it'll also import them. Another cool launch, simple cool launch. Multiple fields sorting on a table. So we're able now to pick multiple fields and sort them ascending or descending, getting that specific analytical layout that you're looking for on your table charts. And the last thing I'll show in this flow is we're going to add a filter. And we added a little button to the filter. Again, another small, simple thing that makes authors' lives easier and consumers. It's an apply button. So now you're able to enable the apply button. And as you're working with the dropdown with multi-select, it won't run the query until you hit that apply button. In the past, it would run the query with every selection that you made. So here we have a finished dashboard. Looks great. We're going to notice I added a custom waterfall chart with multiple stops along the way. We're going to notice maybe I added a custom pie chart with I had some very specific things that I wanted on it that we're not able to do in ours. But I got this beautiful dashboard here, but it's not giving me maybe the insights that I'm looking for. This is where we can leverage Amazon Q in QuickSight, that Q&A experience where I can ask questions and get insights. What are the top 3 days with highest spend on pixel perfect reporting? There it is. I like this chart. I'm going to save it to my pinboard. I get natural language text generation insights automatically from the charts. Cool. Forecast. We have a random cut forest model in QuickSight. You're able to enable it directly by asking a question to see the forecast. Here's a neat one. A lookup. I want to find out how much did expenses with my name on it. How much cost did that incur? I'm able to do a lookup containing my name. It finds how much I've spent on this account. So that's a Q&A experience. And let's say you want to present on all this. This is where that stories feature comes up. Define a prompt. Pick some visualizations. In my case, I'm doing a slideshow. And you'll see how this was created automatically based on what the prompt I entered. It has a visual. It has some text. I'm able to modify the text. The text includes insights, includes nuggets of information extracted from each different visualization. But I can modify this and make this my own. This is also a living, breathing document. So you can use it month over month if necessary as a presentation medium. Great, hope you all enjoyed that. I'm gonna pass it back to Jess. Now we're gonna explore a little bit the differences between the interactive sheets, which is mainly what you saw today, what you saw right here, and pixel perfect reporting.
Perfect. Thank you, Ramon. All right. So as you saw in the demo, there's a lot you can do and a lot of information you can get from the interactive dashboarding. So you might be wondering, when would it be beneficial to do pixel perfect reporting, right? With QuickSight, you don't have to choose, but here are a couple of common reasons. So first would be just simplicity and familiarity. A lot of the business users are creatures of habit, and generally they have been receiving PDF reports via email for years, and that's just how they prefer to consume their information. So this is a good way to drive adoption while still optimizing your BI environment. And additionally, the pixel perfect reporting provides a very consistent, highly specific format. So it's predictable in terms of the layout, where they can find specific information, etc. And also, PDF reports in email can be viewed offline as well during, so for example, that morning commute, or be downloaded and printed, etc. If they prefer the paper format. And then the second one is the ability to schedule. Right? With interactive dashboards, the users need to go to the dashboard and do the data exploration. But with scheduled reports, you get that push type of sharing of insights that drives additional BI adoption because it serves as a reminder. And additionally, with the regular scheduling, can reinforce your own business cadences, right? To make sure everybody has the data they need ahead of a monthly review, for example, to plan for the next month or the next quarter. It's easy to share, right? You can email, you can print, you can embed PDFs or into presentation format, for example, for that easy sharing and collaboration with the key stakeholders you may want to work with. And also, finally, the archiving snapshot in time can serve for compliance, auditing back up to 1 year, and historical comparisons that you may do. And one thing that's not on here, but it's also very relevant, is the CSV exports. You'll always have some users that prefer to get the data from the dashboard, do some manipulation, exploration in CSV or Excel format, or in their own way to do additional analysis, and that's enables that as well. Okay, and in the last 2 years that we launched this, we've seen a variety of different adoption of use cases really across all industries. So as you can see here, is highlighting a couple of them. You have the financial sector using pixel perfect reporting for profit and loss balance sheets, highly formatted. Manufacturing and warehousing for shipment management, inventory, operating costs, etc., as well as retail. And one customer, just quickly highlight here, is Siemens. They are using QuickSight for multiple lines of businesses. Some are internal, but specifically their product team is embedding QuickSight dashboards as well as that pixel perfect reporting experience into a customer-facing portal, where they have shared the unified interface has really helped their internal teams streamline their processes, right? Driving productivity more quickly, get up running with both. At the same time, their customers are able to benefit from both consumption experiences and really get a full picture of their data. So just want to quickly share that. Back to you, Ramon.
Great, thank you, Jess. So we keep innovating here, building features, listening to customers, and delivering on what they need to gain more value out of the tool. So one thing we launched recently was repeating sections. So with repeating sections, you're able to, and within a section in a pixel perfect report, you can loop over a dimension, repeat the same section over and over, and then continuing to paginate, repeating those same visuals on every repetition of that section. You'll see an example of that in the demo. We're also launched prompted reporting. So this is the ability of as a consumer, as a reader, being able to update my filters and generate a PDF. Sounds simple, but this combined with the next feature, which is the reader scheduling, becomes powerful because now we've opened up the doors for readers to create their own schedules. In the past, authors were able to create schedules, readers are able to subscribe to those schedules. But we've recently opened up the doors for the readers themselves to create their own schedules, their personal private schedules that only they see. And this schedule can be built with the original dashboard filters or with their own custom view, which is the selection of filters that they might choose to apply before creating the schedule. So this is a little innovation that we've launched, and now we're going to see a little demonstration again of the pixel perfect reporting. So this is the same dashboard we were working on earlier. Now, instead of an interactive sheet, we're going to choose a pixel perfect report. We pick portrait or landscape. Actually have a pre-built one, a little shortcut here. But the key things to highlight: you have headers, you have footers, and then you have as many sections as you need in your report. You can configure your header and your footer sections. You can add special parameters in the text boxes to highlight maybe the date of the report being run, or maybe the page number that you're on, given that that'll repeat itself. Here in the first section, it's not a repeating section, but I've defined a page break so that it can break after this page ends. I have some text, some visuals, etc. Section number 2 is a repeating section, and we're going to loop on product code. And you'll see in a few seconds how that looks in a finished dashboard. Next step in the storyline is to publish the analysis that creates this dashboard with 2 sheets, an interactive sheet and that PDF. You'll see the snapshots there. I can go to any recent snapshot and download any PDFs, Excels, or CSVs that were generated from that snapshot. Here I'm showing the scheduling interface where I can choose what I want to send, how I want to send it, when I want to send it, and to whom. You see a variety of options there. that are going to be now available to both authors and to readers. So here we have that finished PDF report. We can see the repeating section where I've added an image for each product, some text description for each product, and below it's a long pivot table with all the cost incurred by each one of those products. So this document's 20 pages long. And the key thing here is how it can, the pivot table continues, the formatting continues, etc. We're a reader now. I don't see the analysis, I don't see the data set, but I see my folders with the dashboard that's shared to me. I see the snapshots, those historical PDFs that were saved. But let's say I want to change a filter and run the report right now. I'm able to do so today with the prompted reporting. I can pick a few services, click run, and generate that PDF file. In addition, like I mentioned, I can create my own schedule. So based on my selection or based on the original view, I'm able to add that schedule and choose when, how I'm going to get that PDF document. Notice there that you were able to either subscribe to an existing schedule or create your own. And this is a great value distinction and one of the most commonly requested feature capabilities from Pixel Perfect Reporting. So I hope you all learned something new about the tools today. I have the great honor of bringing on stage one of our customers, Opendoor. And I got Felix and Zach that are going to talk to us about their implementation of QuickSight. Thank you very much for listening.
Hey, good morning. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. So today, this segment of the presentation will be titled Opendoor's Journey with AWS and Amazon QuickSight. We'll be talking about our experience onboarding on the QuickSight and all the features that we love about this tool. And my name is Felix Young. I'm a Senior Products Manager at Opendoor, managing the data platforms team. And I'll hand it over to Zach for his introduction to kick us off.
Hey everyone, can everyone hear me all right? Awesome. My name's Zach Gorman and I'm a Senior Security Engineer here at Opendoor. If you haven't heard of Opendoor, maybe just aren't super familiar with our business, we're looking to reinvent the way you buy and sell your next home. Since our founding in 2014, we've been looking to modernize a previously untouched, over $2 trillion sector of the United States economy, residential real estate. Now, since then, we've helped over 250,000 customers with one of the most impactful and expensive events of their life. Now, while we've been trying to simplify this journey for our customers, we've also been trying to simplify the journey for ourselves. We've been looking to cut down on confusion, double spend, and BI tools. To explain a little bit more about how we did that and how we handle our data at Opendoor, back to Felix.
So everyone knows Opendoor as a real estate company, but not a lot of people know that we're actually a data company. At Opendoor, we use data for everything. We use data to build our ML models, to price our homes. We use data to build delightful customer experiences by understanding how they're buying homes, understanding their web journey, and understanding their overall journey with the product itself. We use data to better understand all the 50 metro areas that we operate in. All of these markets operate with different conditions and have different markets, and we understand how how the real estate transactions happen in all these markets. We use data to make business critical decisions. At our company, we use data to help us manage inventory, like to put our portfolio together, et cetera. And also, we use data to manage our teams across these areas. We have operators on the ground go into houses in each of these markets, and we use data to better understand how they're doing their jobs. And now that you know how we use data, I also want to talk a bit about our data stack to give you guys some context about all the tools that we use at Opendoor. And the first is we have external and internal event data that we ingest into our platform. So external data being MLS data, tax data, internal data being the data that we collect from our core product, data that we collect from our customers. And then we also have our ETL tool. So this is the tool that we use to process our data to make our data tables analytics ready. We have a data warehouse, which lets us run ad hoc SQL queries. And we also have a lakehouse tool, which we use to prototype with our machine learning models and do a little bit more R&D work. We also have a data catalog, Selectstar, our trusted partners, which we use to organize and all our data assets. We have over 10,000 tables at Opendoor, and it's hard to keep track of everything. And this tool lets us collect our information, organize it in a way that allows all our users to get easy access. And then we have also the main focus of today's topic, QuickSight, our BI tool that lets us set off on our self-serve analytics journey and help our internal users better use all of this data that we have collected and all of this data that comes together to power our products. Oh, sorry, I didn't realize there was the bullets were not loading. So now that we understand the data itself and then our data stack, I want to talk a bit about an insidious negative feedback loop that I've observed while working at data platforms at Opendoor. So what we've seen at Opendoor is that the first problem we've seen is that we have outdated data models that don't really fully mirror the business. So what that means is our business has grown to a certain degree, and then the data underlying it that drives his business, that models his business, is out of date. So what happens is a lot of users fail to get what they need from their insights. And when they fail to get what they need from our data, they start to introduce different tools. So earlier Ramon mentioned getting more quivers in your surfboard. Well, when you don't get what you need, you get more quivers and more of these. And what happens is you get fragmentation both in your insights, and you also get duplicative costing, right? You spend more for tools that do the same thing. And at the center of our problem is also a SQL-centric BI tool that computes on the fly. And what this means is we have a data tool that's really friendly for data scientists, but not really for anyone else. And that proliferates this problem because now you have a lot of this SQL code that lives in the tool itself, all this business logic that further fragments our analytics tool, and which results back into the first loop, which is outdated data models that don't fully mirror the business. And this negative cycle continues and continues. And that's why we introduced QuickSight, right, to help us with this self-serve analytics journey. And in addition to this challenge that we are actually tackling, we also picked QuickSight for these following 4 reasons. The first is self-serve analytics capabilities. We just had a half-an-hour session talking about all these features that allows users to build reports or get insights out of reports. And what we've seen is we had an increase of 20% participation from non-technical XFNs, non-technical being that they don't really use SQL and they're mostly operators at Opendoor. And then the second thing that we're really excited about is the bet on AI capabilities with Amazon Q and QuickSight. With the proper data models in place and dashboards, you can actually use a lot of these Gen BI tools the right way.
Thanks, Felix. And we have hundreds of pipelines deploying to AWS every single day. So doing a proof of concept for QuickSight was really a no-brainer for us. In addition, after we started setting that up, once we started forecasting the costs, we saw a massive savings in what our annual BI spend would be. Back to Felix.
So let's talk a bit about the first thing, self-serve analytics capabilities. I want to pull out 3 specific features that teammates at Opendoor are really excited about. The first is Spice. If you're not familiar, it is the in-memory within the QuickSight tool that allows your dashboards to render in seconds instead of minutes. Earlier I mentioned about our SQL-centric BI tool that computes on the fly. So what would happen in the past is every time you try to slice and dice your dashboard, go to a new segment, and you have to run this report again. And that takes a couple minutes. And if I'm an exec, it actually wastes a lot of my time because if I'm trying to dive across all the different 50 markets, then I have to click into a new market, run it, wait a few minutes, and get it again. Spice actually makes that happen in seconds. So this is some features that our execs are personally very excited about. And I actually got a personal message from our chief investment officer talking about how much he loves these dashboards now. The second thing is the pixel perfect reports. We've covered a bit about this in the earlier session, but how we use it at Opendoor is we have a very important report called the market metrics report. Some of the data here is blurred out because of the sensitive nature related to business. But what this report does is it tracks all the key metrics of our business in one page across all our markets. And every morning at 10 a.m., this report gets distributed to all our market managers across the 50 metro areas. And with the pixel perfect reports, we're able to do this dynamically with the latest data, send it out with a PDF report with just a few clicks of a button, and deliver it into our manager's inbox so that they get the information that they need every step of the way, every day. And then the third thing that I want to talk about, this one's a little bit more geared on the creator side, is the custom user experience functionality. In QuickSight, there's a variety of actions that you can actually take within the tool. Some of them are called actions, tabs, and parameters. But what it does is it all comes together to let you build high-powered data apps to let you drill down on your data. So this chart right here is a waterfall chart, and it actually showcases the unit economics of a specific home. So at Opendoor, every home matters to us, and we want to understand the costing and price dynamics of every home. So what these tools, what this UX functionality does is it lets creators build a report that lets users just click into each home individually and understand the unit economics. And these are just some of the things that we're very excited about for the self-serve analytics capabilities. And now on to Zach for the infrastructure piece.
Thanks, Felix. Now that we know a little bit about how QuickSight is actually used at Opendoor, I wanted to pivot a little bit and discuss how this was set up. So hopefully this is abstract enough that you and your business can do something similar. For us, we started with our proof of concept, but before even that, we wanted to make sure that with a new configuration, we reevaluated and continued using AWS practices from the start. We decided we would separate our workloads through separate environments. To do this, we first analyzed what the cost structure of QuickSight would look like. If you're not familiar, there's two different types of cost here. If you have registered IAM principals in your organization accessing dashboards, you're going to want to use user-based pricing. If you're embedding your dashboards on a front end for anyone to view, you're going to want to go with session-based pricing. It's just some simple cost optimization you can do. For us to do this, we spun up two new accounts. For that external side, we spun up an account, spun up QuickSight, connected it with a QuickSight dataset to Snowflake, and we're quickly able to embed those dashboards for our partners to view at any time using the Node.js SDK. From there, we wanted to simplify our login experience for our internal users. We ended up going through Okta and setting up some Okta groups with an Okta workflow associated. To step back a little bit here, we use these Okta groups to enable assumption of SSO roles that allowed access to QuickSight. The problem here is that a lot of our non-technical partners would go into Amazon console and have the issue of where's QuickSight, how do I access it? So we wanted to create this login so users could quickly hit the ground running and immediately with one button click access the QuickSight homepage. To do this, we set up an Okta workflow that went through and called a Lambda function that would register the users preemptively, and after that preemptive registration, give them any extra permissions they would need to folders, dashboards, or anything else. Beyond that, we already had an isolated data plane that we wanted to connect to. We have petabytes of data across hundreds of RDS instances that we want to visualize, and QuickSight makes that easy. With the simple VPC peering, we were able to actually access all of this data and quickly visualize it to share both internally and with our partners. Now, I talked about the first question that I asked myself, but the second question I usually get is, how are we monitoring this and what's it going to cost? Breaking this down, while this was a new use case for us, we still wanted to maintain our general best practices across the cloud. We wanted our continuous tracking using CloudTrail and pushing it to our SIM, Splunk, and we also wanted to make sure that any responses to oddities that occur within these accounts were immediately responded to. We do that through a combination of our SOAR platform and some Lambda functions. But since we have all of this data, we were actually able to access it using QuickSight to track the migration progress and see how many users were using it on an hourly basis. Additionally, after that cost optimization, once again, year to date, we've saved about 80% on our BI spend bill every single year. So QuickSight was a no-brainer. Now to talk a little bit more about that migration, the timeline and the process, we're going to go back to Felix.
So now that we know more about Opendoor's data stack, data products and also our challenges and why we picked QuickSight. The next question a lot of people ask me, but Felix, like picking a BI tool is really hard and doing the migration is really challenging. And indeed it is, but we were able to actually do this in record time, and I even surprised myself. It was a 5-month journey of 1,000 users, 900 plus dashboards, and 26 plus edge cases. Edge cases being the specific features that we've built on top of our BI tool to power our business. And we were all able to do this within this timeline. And just to give you all an example of what we did at what junction of the migration timeline, the first 2 months in April and May, we focused a lot on actually scoping out the dashboards and data assets that we want to migrate it. We focused on better understanding the QuickSight tool itself and how all of these map to our existing use cases. And then in June, July, we really focused on the users itself. We rolled out a production version of QuickSight to let people start playing with the tool itself. And we focused on hosting a lot of team office hours and also focused on actually putting together the dashboards itself. And starting in the latter months, like around July and August, we really focused on cutting people over. We did a combination of techniques of just archiving some dashboards and removing user seats and then coordinating with our users to finally land the ship in September. And the main thing I want to highlight here about this migration journey is actually the adoption phase. Migrating dashboards, the technical aspects, is actually the easy part of the migration because we're just focused on building dashboards and building technology. But getting people to actually start using new tools is a challenge for any products rollout. And the way that we approach this migration is through a framework of pull and push. Pull being the incentivizing part of drawing users to the new platform, push being the gentle nudges that we've taken to push people onto using a new tool. So on the incentivized part, we did user trainings. We had best-in-class examples, meaning that we've built the best possible thing that you could actually put together for QuickSight with all the features that delighted our users. We did office hours. We did active listening with all our users and our customers. And then we found super users who really championed the tool. On the gentle nudging side, the pushing side, we archived dashboards after we were done migrating them after a predefined period of time. We had cutoff dates, so people know exactly what to expect and when. We had seat removals. So with the analytics tool and analytics in CloudTrail, we're able to figure out when someone has finished, when someone's dashboards are fully migrated, and we were able to remove the seats after their dashboards are migrated. We had user activity tracking just to make sure that everyone's like in the right place at the right time. And then we had some gentle persuasion from our leadership team to tell people, hey, you have to use this new tool now. So what's next, right? Now that we have QuickSight, we have our strategy in place. What we're particularly excited about at Opendoor is now that we can finally take these clean data models and these beautiful dashboards and fully utilize the AI features that are coming out and use NLP to actually generate insights on the fly. We are excited to better manage all of our data assets that we have via the GitHub and Asset as a Bundle integrations. And we're also excited to finally consolidate some of this sprawl that I talked about generated by the negative feedback loop and start putting our data models and data sets together to reduce fragmentation and reduce double costing. And finally, in this journey, we've learned a lot of things, but some things that I wanted to share with you today are these few bullets that I've put on the slide. The first is the BI tool selection is really a foundational aspect of your analytics strategy, right? What tool that you pick reinforces your user's behavior, reinforces design patterns at your company, and also is really part of your data analytics culture. The second thing is migration projects can be really complicated, but if you plan it the right way and work with the right XFNs, it can actually be completed in a shorter amount of time than you think. Third is moving dashboards is the easy part, right? That's the technical aspect, but user behavior is the hard part and where you should really focus your attention when you're doing a migration like this. And the fourth thing is my favorite bullet. Better does not mean cheaper. You can have really good analytics tool at a fraction of the cost. And for us, we've saved 80% of our costs year over year with this migration. Now, this concludes our part of the presentation. So thank you so much for giving us this time. And I want to hand it over back to Jess as well so that she can do closing thoughts.
Really awesome.
Sorry.
As promised, we wanted to share with you some parting resources in case you want to explore more QuickSight content for the rest of the week, as well as post re:Invent as well. Let's see. All right. So if you want to check out QuickSight and you don't yet have the QuickSight environment, or even if you do, we offer a free trial for 30 days. So what you need to do is spin up a new QuickSight account on AWS, and it's complimentary for 30 days. You have full access to all of the capabilities, up to 4 users of any time, including the Author and Reader Pros, which are with the advanced generative BI capabilities with Amazon Q enabled, to test that out. We have a variety of resources that we built for you. On the left-hand side there, we do have a specific landing page for Amazon Q and QuickSight with the features, customer testimonials, use cases, etc. So there's a QR code. We also have a QuickSight dedicated YouTube channel where we're constantly uploading new content on our product managers announcing new features, use cases. There are also live workshops led by solutions architects for those who are interested in diving a bit deeper and hands-on following along. There are webinars, customer testimonials, really a variety of different content that's available. The QuickSight community, we do have a very lively, a lot of action in the QuickSight community, and if you were to bookmark any of our resources, I would say this is the one. It's really a one-stop shop for all things QuickSight and for BI learning. It has links out to the Demo Central that Ramon had mentioned. It has a rich library of different types of dashboards by industry, features. You can even dive into analysis underneath to see what's under the hood and how it's implemented. And then there are different learning resources like the YouTube videos, etc. We also have a global roadshow where we go to different cities across the globe to actually host like full day or half day QuickSight learning events run by AWS or our partners. So those events will be posted there as well. So definitely it would be great to see some of you at next year's event. And again, demos, videos, updates, feature releases will all be posted there, as well as a live Q&A where you can maybe more quickly find answers to your questions. And as for the rest of re:Invent, today's Monday, so there's a lot more content with QuickSight the following days. So here's, you feel free to take a picture. You can also find them via that QR code or in your AWS Events app. More specifically, if you are interested in deep diving into what we talked about today, the pixel perfect reporting and the dashboarding experience with QuickSight, there is a hands-on workshop tomorrow at MGM Grand at 11:30 a.m. And you would need to bring your laptop in order to participate. Okay. And don't forget to visit Amazon Q and QuickSight kiosk in the expo hall. It'll be staffed basically the entire time from later this afternoon until later this week. We'll have product managers, AWS specialists, a variety of Gen AI specialists as well there to talk to you more at depth and in detail. Okay. And finally, thank you so much for spending the last hour with us. If you can do us a favor, please complete the survey in the app so we can get your feedback. And I know this is a silent session, there's no live Q&A, but the speakers will be over here in the corner if you want to come up afterwards, and feel free to, and we'd be happy to chat with you about any questions you may have. All right, thank you all so much.